You're in the lab. Lee here. You saw that title too as well. We're talking about 8 new Mandela effects to blow your mind. Yes, 8 new Mandela effects to make you question the reality you live in. Please remember, some of these Mandela effects might not be new to you, but they will be new to somebody else. Also, I have to say I'm sorry and apologize to some people out there that, if I don't shout you out, for the Mandela effects that I see and just don't think that I'm trying to take all the heap and the hoopla, because that's not the point. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's not the case. I try to get everybody, and if I don't, I do apologize. I would do better on this video, I promise. But it is just sometimes my mind goes 1,000 miles per minute, and I just don't think about it at the time. Also, with that said, if you like this at any time, y'all remember to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and leave me your comments down below. So let's get this going. Number 8 for today, we're going to the Pillsbury Doughboy himself. Yes. I know this is an old one, but I have not talked about it yet. And I'm talking about the Pillsbury Doughboy and his bow tie. Yes, his lovely, lovely bow tie, as you see right there. Is that how you remember the Mr. Pillsbury Doughboy or Dope Man being always looking like, with his nice little hat and his white bow tie? Well, if you are saying yes, well, you are correct in this reality. But in my reality and many other realities, we always remember Mr. Pillsbury Doughboy man having a blue tie. Yes, a little blue tie. And if you can't believe us on that, I'm going to have to show you The Simpsons. So here
Up and fresh, you glutinous little doughboy. Oh, there's something I've wanted to do to you for years.
From the tube.
Nothing says I love you like something from... Hey, what the hell are you doing, you crazy...
Gave you The Simpsons with an extra Family Guy. Yes, that is how I remember Mr. Pillsbury Doughboy, having that blue little necktie around his collar. Go, woo! But how do you remember? Do you always remember it the way it has always been, with that white handkerchief or bow tie, whatever you want to call it? Or do you remember it like I remember it, and many of us remember it, with that blue bow tie? Number 7 on this list is going to be from Super, and it is the Mr. KFC himself, and I'm talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken, and well, not Kentucky Fried Chicken itself. How about Kentucky Fried Roast Beef? Yes, roast beef sandwiches. I guess apparently back in the day, KFC, the Colonel himself, tried his little dazzle and put his hands in the mix of the roast beef industry. This is odd to me because I watched the history of food on the History Channel, and I told Super this too. I was like, and I watched this. I watched the whole thing about the Colonel and how he made his pressure cooker to cook chicken so much faster in his recipe, and that is actually why it's KFC's recipe, and that's why it's named the Colonel, because it's basically them. He sold off all of his recipes of that so he'd make money. But never in that documentary did they ever mention Mr. Colonel dabbing his hands into roast beef and ham sandwiches. Never in my day. There's newspaper clippings as you see it right there. I have never heard of this in my entire life. Even when I watched the history of it, it never mentioned it. But what do you remember? Do you remember Mr. KFC himself, the Colonel, trying to sell roast beef and ham sandwiches? Or do you remember it or don't remember it like I don't remember it, him never putting freaking roast beef in any of it? Weird. Number 6 on this list is going to be that great classic country song from the great country star Billy Ray Cyrus himself. Fun fact about Billy Ray Cyrus, he actually got huge at the Mullet Festival in Niceville, Florida back in the day. That's actually where his big stage started. Little fun fact. But anyways, yes, Mr. Billy Ray Cyrus, An Achy Breaky Heart. Yes, I'm talking about the song, and I'm talking about the lyric that has totally blown my mind. Well, here, listen.
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, I just don't think he'd understand.
Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart. Whew, that one hurts, because in my reality, I've sung this so many times. Like I said, it was a part of a little country growing up as me as a kid, and it was, don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart. It is so weird. It is crazy. The lyrics even say it too. Don't tell my heart, my achy breaky heart. My reality, many realities, has always been don't break my heart, not don't tell my heart. But how do you remember this great old song from Billy Ray Cyrus, the country singer himself? Spawn to Miss Miley Cyrus. Do you always remember Achy Breaky Heart being Tell My Breaky Heart? Or do you remember it like I remember it always being Don't Break My Heart, My Achy Breaky Heart? Number 5 is actually going to be a personal apology and a huge shout out to it. Maybe it's a Mandela. I do apologize if I have used any of your material and not gave you a shout out. I do these things right off the back. I get moving, I get to going. Sometimes I don't think about everything that I'm doing, and I apologize. But with that, I also thank you for this one too as well, because this one was new. It blew my mind today, and I'm talking about the Lollipop Kids of the Wizard of Oz. When she gets there and they're singing, "We represent the Lollipop Kids, the Lollipop Kids, the Lollipop Kids." Man, you can almost pop lock with that. But what if I told you that it's not the Lollipop Kids? Listen.
We represent the Lollipop Gill, the Lollipop Gill, the Lollipop Gill, oh.
We represent the Lollipop Gill, the Lollipop Gill, the Lollipop Gill. Now that is so weird to me. It was always Lollipop Kids to me. This blows my mind. This hurts my mind because I got a headache right there. It blows my mind when I heard this and I saw this and I watched this on hers, and it still blows my mind. It has always been the Lollipop Kids to me. You can look it up and it doesn't change you or correct you in Google. It just shows you the Lollipop Gill. But what do you remember? How do you remember? Do you always remember those Lollipop Kids being the Lollipop Kids? Or do you remember them just being the Lollipop Gill? Now, number 4 on this list, this is going to be a little bit of residue and a little hint towards maybe another one. And I'm talking about, well, first off, let's go to Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Where are you? And we're talking about that question mark. Now, I got an email from Miss Vicky herself saying she has this poster on her wall, and she sent it to me, and here you go. Look at it. You see the question mark on where are you? It is amazing to see that kind of residue that's actually hanging on a person's wall at this moment, to see that. So thank you, Vicky, for showing me that. That shows you that, hey, there is a question mark right there. But also with that, this one also comes from Miss Paranormal. I'll put it up there for you. I think I got it wrong. But Sinbad and the movie Shazam. Yes, Shazam. And this also came from Wyatt too. It's kind of a reference to the movie From a Different World. If you don't remember the show, The Different World, it was kind of that spin-off from the Cosby Show. And there's a scene in it where Freddie herself talks about maybe it's Shazam. Well, check it out.
Someone who loves Shazam.
Who would knit a scarf with the initials SZ on?
Someone who loves Shazam.
Somebody a fan of Shazam. Now, I want you to understand, as you saw, that was in 1992. Shazam didn't come out until 1993. Sinbad was a star of this show until 1991, until the end of 92, or close to 92. And for them to reference that character that was in the movie the next year, knowing he was in it, is kind of odd, it's kind of weird, it's kind of eerie, but yet it is awesomely freaking cool to see that kind of residue of that. So thank you to you both, and man, hope y'all enjoyed that one. Number 3, we're going to Back to the Future. I gotta shout out Hazel Fever on this one. This one has blew my mind. They just put it out. I gotta throw it on mine too as well. I'm talking about the Back to the Future and Marty's red vest that he is missing. He is missing the red vest in the beginning of the movie. Yes, the beginning of the movie where he turns on freaking stereo and the speaker and he gets that guitar that's now yellow. It used to be red, and he... But he doesn't have his vest on anymore. I fully remember him having that vest on basically all the way through the movie until the end of the movie or when he flips to 55 and then the end of the movie he doesn't have it anymore, but there's still material of him in this red vest in the beginning of the movie. And why would people do that if it wasn't the proper representation of the real beginning of the movie? But how do you remember Mr. Marty McFly's vest? Do you always remember him having that vest in the beginning of the movie when he's turning them dials? Or do you remember it the way it is now and always has been, him not even having that vest in the beginning of the movie? Number 2 came from Mr. Kenneth, sent me an email about Bud Light. Yes, Bud Light. Now, how would you spell Bud Light today? How do you spell Bud Light today? Like a light, right? Light, right? Yep. But what if I told you in a past memory that it was never spelt that way? Well, it always has been spelt that way, but a lot of us remember it just being spelt like light, L-I-T-E, like Miller Lite, because that was like the branding part of that day, and it is no longer ever has been Bud Light with the L-I-T-E. It is weird, it is odd, but there is evidence. There's freaking residual papers, newspapers, memes of saying Bud Light, L-I-T-E. But how do you remember this one? Do you always remember Bud Light being the way it's spelt now as you see, fully like a light? Or do you remember it like I remember it, like Mr. Kenneth himself remembers it, and many others remember it being spelt Bud Light, like the Miller Lite, like the L-I-T-E? Number 1, we are going to the classic movie Toy Story, the first one, the original, and we're going to Pizza Planet, and the scene where they get locked into the ship and they see all the little aliens, and they're going, one of us, one of us, one of us. But what if I told you they never, ever said one of us? Yes, you heard me right. They never said one of us. It's not in the movie. I've checked it. I've watched it, seen 1,000 times. They never say one of us. It is so odd. It is so weird because there's memes saying one of us, one of us. And I don't fully understand it. It blows my mind to the fullest. Toy Story again, getting rocked with another Mandela effect. But how do you remember this one? Do you remember the Martians always greeting and going, one of us, one of us? Or do you remember it the way it has always been, never ever hearing them things say, one of us? Yes, I gave you 8 new Mandela effects for you, but I'm throwing a bonus one on today. We're doing the number 9, and we're going to talk about Batman, the original Batman movie, and I'm talking about his symbol you see on his vest. Yes. Look at this. Look at the Batman symbol. Do you see those 2 little feet on the end of his little tail? Do you always remember that there? If you don't always remember it there, hey, you're right. It used to never be like that. It never has been like that. Even if you look at the cover of the original Batman movie, you don't see that little feet. Apparently, that is the only movie, the only suit that has the Batman with the little feet. The rest of them are right. It is so odd. It is so weird. How do you remember that Batman symbol, huh? Do you remember the symbol being with the little feetsies? Or do you remember like the freaking cover of the movie, how all the Batman symbols has been the way it is right there? Look at that. But also with that, cinematic, I don't know if you watched Angry Video Game Nerd, but he also brought up the part where when Joker is throwing the money, they're in the parade, and the money had his face on the money. The Joker's face was on the money. And he recalls that, and I recall that too, but you can't see the Joker's face on any of that money in there. And I also remember, like he said, he remembers when they noticed it, they were getting mad and angry, like a mob was happening. But if you look at the comic book strip, you can see that Joker's throwing the money, and the money has his face on it, which is so ironically weird for that comic book to have it there and then replay it in the comic book but not do it in the movie with his face on the money. So odd, so weird. How do you remember? Do you remember the face on the money from the original Batman? Or do you remember the way it is not being able to see that face with that, your Batman logo? Gave you those extra Mandela effects for you. Yes, we actually did 9 Mandela effects there for you to blow your mind. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I shouted out everybody I possibly can. If I didn't, I totally apologize. It's not in my nature to do this kind of stuff, to forget you, because I know we are all working a community as one. But if you like this at any time, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and leave me those comments down below so we can talk about your Mandela effects and other ones around the world. Till then, y'all remember, keep your mind open, because those eyes will see everything in front of them. Y'all stay crazy.
I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.